Let's go to the introduction. In fact, we've done these now. Let's go to the introduction to Black Marxism. And then we'll reserve the last part of class for talking about the paper for next week. Now, the introduction begins on page 1, and it goes to page 5. Let's go paragraph by paragraph, shall we? All right, page 1. Everybody have an introduction? There were plenty of books in the bookstore as of last night when I left, so in fact, somebody came about one while I was there. This study attempts to map out what? Map out what? Okay, the encounter of Marxism and Black radicalism. And what is the relationship between the two in that sentence? Right. The encounter. And based on what we talked about Tuesday, how do these two encounter each other? What are the Black radical intellectuals looking for? Ways to do what? Relative to the Black condition, Black experience. Say again? To bring change. Right. They're really first and foremost looking for ways to bring change. What does Robbins say in his foreword? His foreword, he said, I was less interested in being a scholar than I was in starting revolution. And I wanted to write my PhD. Anybody remember what he said he wanted to write his PhD on? Before he used the book review editor for the graduate students? Say again, David?
Communism somewhere, I can't remember.
That's exactly right. The Communist Party and the Communist struggle in South Africa. That's right. And so he was reviewing books. He was in graduate school. He said, I was less interested in getting a PhD and more interested in doing revolution. So I wanted to write this dissertation on this movement that was going on. I was the book review editor. This book came in the mail. I stuck it in my backpack. And then when I opened it up, I was like, yo, wow, real? Changed my life. Because every question I thought I had, Robinson had raised before me. So in the first paragraph of the actual book, Robinson's, actually that's not true. In the acknowledgments, in the preface, he basically says that this work is about our struggle, but I have to raise the challenge to these young folks and these academics who are looking for ways to explain our struggle, looking for tools to do it. Marxism was a tool. But what Robinson is saying, Marxism doesn't come out of our tradition and it's going to fail at certain ways to explain our tradition. So why use it? So let me write a book that removes it from the center of our discussion and replaces Marxism with our tradition, what he will eventually call the BRT, the Black radical tradition. And that's what we're going to spend today in part doing, delinking these. Introduction, first paragraph. I want to take this effort in the belief that in its way, each represents a significant and imminent mode of social resolution, but that each is a particular and critically different realization of a history. The point is that they may be so distinct as to be what? Woo, Lord, incommensurable. Incommensurable. What does that mean? Okay, what? Thank you. That's just the dictionary definition. Impossible to compare or measure. In other words, incommensurable. You can't get to the Black radical tradition through Marxism. And Marxism is not going to explain the Black radical tradition. They may be incommensurable. That's how distinct they are. Now let's pause on that for a minute. Who do you think would have a problem with that in the Black intellectual community? Saying these two are so distinct as to maybe be incommensurable.
The people that were saying
people would say no. Would say yes, I'm a Marxist. I don't think that's true. At the center of the Marxist analysis of the Black movement is the critique of race, but they do not see race as they see race as something that is a byproduct of class struggle. In fact, let us move ahead for a moment to the end of chapter. No. Or chapter, or maybe chapter 2. Let's see. What's chapter 2? The English working class?
Page 29.
29. Yes. Look at page 42. That's for next week, but let's skip ahead to make this point. Top of page, see but even more to the point, we have seen in that the generic term, the English working class or the English proletariat, masks what? Social historical realities that accompany the introduction of industrial capitalism in England and its empire. Meaning what? After this revolution, after this moment, you go back and look at history and say, there's the English proletariat, or there's the English working class. No, you put a name on something that you can't, they wouldn't have understood while they were living. And what he's going to say is, what he means is that what Marx and Engels did was create a structure, like a mathematical formula for class struggle, and then apply it going backward to history. But in doing that, what did they obscure? What did they overlook? See it? Somebody else say? Yes. Right, exactly. The context. In other words, you're not looking at the people. Remember, last week we said, he says capitalism doesn't exist outside of its context. None of these things do. So, but guess what? On this page here, he says, he basically says, this is a failure of Marxist theory. But it's not a failure that Marx and Engels may have been unaware of. In fact, on page 42, we go down. Let's go to the next paragraph. You see where it says neither Marx nor Engels? Neither Marx nor Engels, page 42, were unaware of the proletariat, meaning those people who were working class and below, of the proletariat's failure to become what? A universal class. Because the whole notion in the Marxist theory is class struggles should create in the people who are in that class some form of universal consciousness. Right, follow me so far? Based on your shared condition. But instead, neither one of them were unaware of the proletariat, that class, their failure to become a universal class. Both studied the Irish question closely. Were active in the attempt to resolve its destructive impact on the historical processes of English working class formation. Okay. Anybody read chapter 2 yet? Very good. So you all know what the issue is. What is the relationship to the English to the Irish at this time, the 19th century, 18th century?
The English had come and over Ireland.
Yes.
And,
the English colonized Ireland and then
right. And then the Irish had a movement out of Ireland into England and started to work and join it with England.
right. The Irish then, because they're part of the colonies now, or empire, there's some movement. The Irish who have their own cultural traditions, their own different ways of doing things, very though they are, begin to enter the English working class and work alongside and intermingle with this emerging English working class. By the Marxist theory, should not there have been some universal class consciousness emerge out of this mix? Right, but according to Robinson's analysis of history, what happens between the English and Irish in the working class? Racism. The Irish are seen with suspicion. Now we all poor. Yeah, but you Irish. The Irishmen coming here taking these jobs. No, wait a minute. Where is the universal consciousness? What does he say? Going back to page 42. Neither Marx nor Engels were unaware of the proletariat's failure to become a universal class. Both studied the Irish question closely. They knew this was going on. Both were active in the attempt to resolve this destructive impact on the historical processes of English working class formation. Stop right there. Where are Marx and Engels living at the time they're writing in the 19th century? Take a guess.